So, those boring calls that you guys make, yeah. It was always someone panting for breath, struggling to breathe, and you had to go there. To a point that I could even hear my phone ringing when it wasn't. That's how stressful it was. And you'd be on call the whole week, alone, day and night. So you are moving up and down. So basically, this was one of the most stressful things. I remember one day we were doing some feedback session at work. So we came in the morning and I was asked if there's anything to report, and I was wondering, I actually asked the question, is there any use for us to meet here and give feedback? The issue was the hospitals were full, there was no oxygen, patients were dying, you were certifying every day, and you were trained to save lives, not to certify. So, having had said all this, I've managed to work when my mental health was on the line, right? Just to let you know that we really don't like death, as many of you think. It still traumatizes us because we also lose loved ones like that. Yeah, so we are going to talk about breaking the stigma, creating safe spaces for mental health conversations at work. How many of us have ever become stressed of work? Okay. Oh, so you are human beings. Okay, all right. So all of us have had some work stress. So how many of us usually take our laptops home? For work purposes. I don't mean where you say, hey, this work, they may come and steal. To work. Okay, so I can see 1 or 2 hands going up. How many of us care about our family members, close family? Okay, so we all do. How much time do you spend with your family members? Okay. I like that. I like the honesty. And there's a reason why I ask all these questions. Please pay attention to them as we progress, right? Yeah. Oh, it has to be on before it works. Oh, okay. All right. The setup assumes that I have to be here and not move. I would really love to move, but there's a mic that is supposed to capture my voice. All right, let's start here. I know I'm going to traumatize many of you. What is this? Is it an animal cell or a plant cell? Okay, sorry guys. So this is an animal cell. It doesn't matter that much. But what I want you to understand from that is this cell has got particulate matter inside. That is pieces that we can see, the mitochondrion, the nucleus, the Golgi apparatus. We can see all those things. You don't really need to remember those names. No one cares about them except myself. Now, there is also this thing that contains everything, which is known as the cell membrane. If I were to be gentle to you, I would take you through 3 months worth of material to just discuss the cell membrane and what is contained there. Now, this is the fluid. You see this fluid is known as the cytoplasm. So this thing is where everything within the cell takes place, right? Your chemical reactions, your cell differentiation, your cell growth, your everything takes place within the cell. Now, the assumption is that when you have got everything, every component, the assumption is the cell must be able to work properly. The reason why I'm saying the assumption is because when you die, or when the cell dies, don't worry, you are not dying. But it shall come one day, not now. All right, so when you look at this, at the point of death, the cell is still intact, but function has stopped. What I'm trying to say is, you may have everything, like the nucleus is there. You look at it under a microscope, everything looks perfect. The cytoplasm is there, but your rate of survival and life is determined by how well these things work together. The car that is in your house, that is not functional. You remember that one? The one that the old man is refusing to sell because he was told you don't sell the first car. That one, it has got the engine, the gearbox, everything, but it is not functional. So what I'm driving at is, The workplace is made of non-human capital, human resources, and the interaction between these two determines profitability. Now, every business is profitable. I know there's this fancy way that that non-profit making, profit making. Guys, we are all here for profit. Why do you give me that look? So we are all here for profit. And what I'm trying to say is, it may not be bringing money in the sense that maybe you are giving services for free, right? But have you ever thought of the economic impact of that service? Even if you are not getting money. So profitability cannot only be measured in the sense of how much revenue and then you subtract the expenditure and all those beautiful ways that people usually confuse us with. But we are basically saying interaction between these two gives you profitability. Hey, now we are together. All right, let me start by saying this. The workplace, okay, this an old man basically has been working so hard almost all his life. I respect people like this because they put in their soul. By the way, 61% of the world is doing something like this. That is, they're part of the informal sector. Now, the workplace is not a hospital, except for me. So for the rest of you, this statement is very true. What I'm trying to say by this is, we are not trying to say, let people come to, I'm starting with this statement so that we understand the background. We are not saying employ people so that they can freely get sick. Why you should agree with me. We want people to work, right? That is why we employ them. We pay them at the end of the month. Why? They have worked, right? And it's important for us to understand jobs, because you are not even allowed to get sick. You know that boss who would call you and ask you, where are you? I'm at the hospital. 2 minutes down the line. Kante, where are you? I'm sick. Hey, oh, Kana, it's a Monday. Kana, we are from the long weekend. Or you have a car accident. The person doesn't even ask how you are. Like, how is the car? The company car. Because he's interested in the insurance, whatever. Not you. So, as much as we are not coming to work to be admitted, we shouldn't feel like we are giving our last breath. Because the main reason why we go to work is not necessarily for the company, but for our family. So let's not make each other sweat extra in order to put bread on the table. So we are together on that one. Yeah, in this case, I'm always right until you ask questions, because the presentation is mine. I made it, this one. I made it. All right, so let us talk about this. And I'll mention one or two things about the medical school, which is where I've gone. And then in the medical school, the questions, I mean, you are trained to understand you can be wrong. And then, once you accept that we teach you, you should be able to stand by your decision. We're in trouble. So, we are so wrong so many times, such that the older you become, the more of a doctor you appear. Once a patient once chased me, so I was trying to examine, I was working in the maternity department, and I was trying to prepare people for cesarean sections, and this lady looked at me and said, no, may I be seen by a doctor? And at that time I was quite brief. Yeah. So I went away. So the next day she sees me, and then one of the patients says, Ngaka. So she looks and says, Molosiwa Garma. Okay, so at school, we are taught of this thing. It's called the biopsychosocial model of health. So it looks at three key components: the biological, the social, and the psychological. I really need to move. I feel like I'm bigger because the space is small. So the biological looks at your fractures, your heart failures, your hypertension, your diabetes, all those diseases for both the poor and the rich, right? So this is, for me, the easiest component of health. Because let's think about it. You break a limb, right? In 6 weeks' time, you are back, you are fine. We are done. You can go and continue with physio if you want, but at the end of the day, it's quite straightforward. You have got hypertension, we tell you, no, go and eat right, don't stress each other at home, things like that. Your BP is controlled, we are happy. So this one is not problematic. And this one is very easy. This is where you come to our office, you come and ask for scans and x-rays, MRIs, PET scans, CT scans, all those things. And oftentimes you can make diagnosis based on that. This is where we do labs. And then we can get confirmations of our diagnosis. However, we have got, this balloon is very beautiful. But sometimes it takes away my peace. Okay. So there is this part, social. So this social deals with our interactions and how we associate and relate with those that we live with. Now, if you think of it, how much time do you spend at work?
8 hours.
Okay, let's assume it's 8. I know you are doing more than that, especially those who can apply for overtime. I know. I can see your guilty faces. So, social interaction. So let's assume we are normal. We spend 8 hours. Oh, okay. All right. No, thank you. I was actually liberated. So, social interaction. If we spend 8 hours at work, this is excluding your bath time. Okay, this one is negligible for men. This excludes your bath time, your breakfast, and your drive to work, right? So if we are to be fair, maybe let's say you spend 12 hours around work-related things. You are left with how many hours? 12 hours. How much time do you spend in bed? 8 hours. So now you are left with 4 hours. This 4 hours you deal with your social life. Yeah, you have got children, husband, friends. Yeah. So basically you have got 4 hours per day. So all that time has to be squeezed in within this. And then the psychological part deals with the time that you have with yourself now. Right? So these are the two that I want us to look at. These are highly complex because one family will thrive when they are poor and one family will divorce because one is poor. So there is no straight and forward route that you can take. And you notice these social factors can affect your biological. For example, you get drunk, you kill your liver, now you become my client. Then you don't eat well, you end up becoming my client. You look at the psychological, the fact that you have got any biological disease. For example, if you have a cancer, none of you will have very normal psychological health. So you see, these two interact intimately with the biological. But if we were to do simple statistics, this is about 66% of what health is. But I can tell you, of the 6 years I spent in training, we dealt with mental health for 8 weeks. You missed that. So this is our key problem, 66%. But the curriculum is based on this, which is only 33%. In other words, if you have got struggles at home, and I miss that, no one will kill me. But they will kill me because I missed the heart failure. But these two can make your life a living hell. Yeah. In fact, I would rather break my leg than to have a dysfunctional family. Anytime. Right? No, I want a plaster. Can I at least hear if you fracture yourself and you are not healing well, we can open the skin, get into the bone, we support it with metals. Then we close the skin. Here. Someone is telling you they are not well. And you ask them to describe how they feel. And they tell you, image. And they carry nothing. So mental health, this is the most complex component of health. Do you know what complex means? Complex means the intricacies of mental health, they're always shifting. Things move. And there's nothing such as a blanket solution. Good, you can't just say, okay, since the family is broke, I'm giving you money. We are done. The moment the money arrives, problems increase. So, this is the most complex part. And I know people come to the hospital sometimes looking for a quick fix. Here, there are no quick fixes. In fact, even if we were to give you medication for your psychological health, the quickest acting starts acting after 2 weeks. Minimum. That's when we expect to see some improvement. How many weeks? 2 weeks. But right now, if you come and the car has smashed your fingers, I give you pethidine or whatever, morphine or whatever, within a couple of minutes, you can even say, hey, I nearly died. All right. So these are the complexities around mental health. Number one, there's difficulty to measure severity and functionality. Right? Like I said, this is not one of those where you come and you are stressed, we do a scan and then we see something. There's nothing like that. So we basically depend a lot on what you tell us. So think about it as the manager. You have got someone who has got some mental health problems and they tell you, hey, today I'm just not myself. And you can see it then, but they're not themselves. So how do you measure severity? And then the other thing is questions around confidentiality. You are not a healthcare professional, you are just a business whatever, or you're a business owner. How far do you go on asking people about mental health? It's really difficult. I don't want to come here and sound as though it's something very easy. Come on, take it easy, be a human being. I get it. And then there's no obvious expected time of recovery. Let me give an example. Someone in the same organization may lose a father. Within 3 months, they're okay, bubbly, same people that you used to. But someone may be crying every time they see their father's photo, 2 years down the line. So you just can't say, hey, my sister, by now we should have moved on. Hey, when I know when you are a problem. Again, things that you guys say to each other at work. Right now we are all nice people, but at work, I can imagine your frowns for that one. Okay, then there is high recurrence rates. We have heard of a lot of people who have been to rehabs, right? How many of them actually go back for rehab? A lot. Even Sbrana, there are a lot of patients that are known for. No, he's back. We were wondering, this month is going to pass just like that. So, high recurrence rates. And then, like I said, this is highly subjective. It's the person telling you. And then you try to make an objective decision based on subjective decision. Like I said, there is no blood test that you can do to say, hey, depression. And then this involves issues outside the workplace. For example, your workplace is not made to solve your workers' marital issues. One day, a week prior to this incident, I had a patient who could not accept blood transfusion. So I prayed. I think that was the longest prayer I've had before a surgery. So you go in, operate this lady, very beautiful baby born, no incident happens. A week down the line, a doctor friend of mine is doing his own surgery. The patient dies on the table, right? That guy came in the morning. So this happened at night. So the whole night, he dragged himself through the call. So in the morning he comes, this guy looks like a zombie. So he arrives and then he asks to be allowed time off. And the boss says, well, not the boss, but the boss to this little boss. So try to say, mini boss. So he says, okay guys, let's make sure that we do not drag our problems into You know how it is to tell a husband that your wife died when I was operating? Yeah. So he says, don't drag your problems. It's just that I don't have very strong, but I could have done something. All right. So the reason why you are interested in mental health as businesses is because this thing is not cheap. Yes, sometimes we think of it as, hey, Lama, those things that okay, so 60% of the world population is working, 61% is in the formal sector. So most of you are actually dealing with those in the formal sector. I get the 39%. But we also know that you have got house helpers. We know. Hey, you have left them at home. And we also know that you have got those ones that are at the farm again. Hey, you also have them. And in most cases, we don't care about them, unfortunately. I'm just putting it out there so that you know that I know. Okay, so 300 million people lived with anxiety, 280 depression. These numbers, I think right now we are around 350 million. This is just above 300 million. So, you see, 703,000 people died of suicide in 2019. Now, of these, some of you were your colleagues. And of these 280 people and 301, just anxiety and depression, we are not even talking about every mental condition. Just these two, the amount of cost to the healthcare sector, just these two, is closer to NCDs, which are the greatest killers now. And these two can increase your propensity to having strokes and heart attacks. Just these two. Or in other words, if you treat someone badly, you are basically saying, I want to give you a heart attack in such a way that the court will not come after me. Reshapu, we are still friends. What's happening to your mental health? We are still together. Even if you don't want, we will use my love for you. We will work together with it. All right. So 15% of working age adults had mental disorder in 2019. Right now, I know this is pretty high. And the other thing is, most of you who are managers and middle and upper, most of you, the people that you are supervising, Gen Z. Yes. Hey, their work ethic is very different from yours. And they want nice things. My Gen Z don't understand why you want to use a typewriter. No. Typewriters, no. Just use voice something and then things will just appear on the screen. Hey, but when I go, you have been doing this for the past 50 years before they were born. Like, you must work. Then 20 people gather around doing something that could be done in an hour. So these are the guys, by law, they will tell you, no, now my mental health matters. By the way, that is right. But I'm simply saying, this is a changing work environment. We need to adjust. Otherwise, we are going to kill each other. Look at the impact. 50% of total societal cost of mental health conditions is driven indirect costs such as reduced productivity. Ooh. So sometimes you are paying people, there is no productivity, simply because there is a mental health issue behind it. I've rejected offers from private, mainly because they would require half of my day at work. And they were paying it. It was tempting. So I simply said, no, I can't. I won't. Because mental health first. If you don't have proper mental health, you will see other things crumbling. So if 50% of cost reduce productivity, it means no matter how much you pay this person, their productivity won't increase. By the way, all of us here have had pay raises before. Let's tell the truth. Regardless of how high the paycheck became after that particular promotion, how many of you still felt the increment 3 months down the line? So it didn't work, eh? The first month, that's when even your work changed. Next month you notice, can't be. Look at this. 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety. 12 billion working days. And I want to emphasize something. There's something called presenteeism. Do you know what it is? Presenteeism. Yeah. So these are the guys who come. You expect them to be at work at 7:30, they come. 4:30, they knock off. What have you done? Nothing. Month end, full paycheck. You should talk nicely to them. This is how much the world loses due to depression and anxiety. We don't even, most of us don't know how many zeros make up a trillion, but at least we can appreciate it's a lot of money. Now, I want us to look at a couple of these statistics. The reason why I'm saying this is so that when I talk about creating the environment, then it makes sense. Look at this. 85% of people working in an organization where most senior leaders speaks about mental health feel their employer cares about their mental well-being. In other words, as a leader, just the sheer fact that you talk about mental health, just talking, you are not spending anything, you don't need Bomasinkala. You are simply saying, guys, take care of yourself, be well, stay well. That on its own says to them, these people care. Do you know how many people stay in their workplaces? Not because there are no better offers, but they stay because they are treated like family. Yeah. Those people will make your business grow. They'll talk about it as if it's part of their genes. It's like they're absorbing nutrients as they talk about you, right? However, this figure, 85%, drops to 31% when you just keep quiet. Then when people feel like you don't care, you know what they do? They'll tell each other, no, I get the money is theirs. Right now we are just here. So it's not even about productivity, it's about making sure that you avoid being sacked. Like how do you, like in the night you think that thinking of something great, when they are Googling how to get a salary and avoid being chased from work. Yet you maintain your salary. Again. And then I want us to also look at this. 41% of the line managers have had dedicated training on having conversations with colleagues about their mental health. 41%. How many have been trained in your organizations? So 41%. And of this 41%, the colleagues feel like this 41% actually care. Now the question is, where's the 59? Why are we training some people and not others? These are not very special things that we cannot train people on. Of course, there are issues around character and personality, but I think we can be nice to each other. You should see me laugh with my patients. And we are talking about deep issues of life. 47% of those who have shared their mental health challenges with their line managers say they have been discriminated against as a result. So, yeah, what this means is about half of those that have disclosed their issues, you use that, you weaponized the information you had. Hey, managers. Then you walk to the camera holding that key. I'm talking to women right now. So, okay, look at this, guys. This is actually embarrassing. 42% of workers agree that their workplace has a culture which encourages open dialogue about mental health. 42%. Now the question is, where is the 58%? Why can't we just be human beings and love each other? And we are firm, people must work, we agree. But we shouldn't treat them like they are no longer human beings. As if right now we are bulletproof, we can't die, we can't lose loved ones, we are just okay. I've lost my sense of time. Now, because of these mental conditions, people are experiencing a lot of stigma in the workplace. To a point that we even give them names. Hey, right? So the person is going through whatever they say. Now we find a good opportunity to talk about that. Not because we want to come up with any solution or whatever. Or someone asks to go to the hospital to get their monthly prescription. It's like, hey, okay, next time I'll use a man's voice so that it doesn't look like it's only women who say that. 50-50, we share the burden. All right, so there's a lot of stigma that is taking place, and it's something that we really need to deal with, right? And remember, some of the mental health problems that our colleagues are going through are caused by the workplace. Of course, they've got other problems that they may come with, but the issue is, once we have employed them, they are one of us. All right. So types of stigma are not really important for you to know, but self-stigma is when you actually stigmatize yourself. Do you know those people? Okay, part of what I see at work, I've got patients who may miss their medication simply because they were afraid that if they ask for permission to go and get that prescription, the boss was going to kill them. So now it's like you are your own problem. And that happens a lot. Public stigma is when those around you stigmatize you because of the mental health that you have. By the way, mental health problem, it doesn't mean that if someone has got some mental health problem, they are non-functional. Let us learn to distinguish the two. And let me state this. Is the customer always right?
Nope.
Yeah, actually, for me, the customer is almost always wrong. Now, this information, almost always. Now, this is the point that I'm trying to drive home. The fact that I know that my customer is usually wrong helps me to be better prepared to help them when they are wrong. I don't use that to kill them. I use that in order for me to learn how to best handle them. For example, in my workplace, most people are sick. Well, yeah. And of those that are unwell, whether it's biological causes or psychosocial, okay, of the biological causes, like 10% or so, they would also have a psychosocial cause. And that is around 80-90% of them. So I actually have a lot of trouble in terms of explaining to them what is happening. So the reason why the customer is almost always wrong is you'd see a patient coming because the child cannot see properly. All they are looking for, what is the proper way? Like specs. Those people, like this is, let me give you an example. Like this beautiful young little girl, she's 8 years of age. I saw her last year. She comes, the father is concerned because she just can't see properly. They've tried moving her to the front of the class, nothing happens. So she comes for her eye check. To them, the problem is she needs some spectacles. So he's sure that he can't see properly because he's nearsighted. I do an exam on that child, the pupils are this huge. We send her, she does her CT. The next day, she has a tumor this huge in the middle of her brain. So the patient needed specs. If she was always right, but she was wrong. But we didn't kill the parent, they're still alive. We took them through the process. We explained, I actually told them what my fears were, why I don't think the glasses would help in any way, and why they shouldn't even go and buy anything. Yeah, the sad story is that the child actually passed away. It was such a sad story. It's just that some of these things, we see them quite advanced, right? Yeah. And one thing that I'm wondering is, after that happened, how was he treated, the father, at work? I'm just wondering, how was he treated? Did someone understand that he just lost their daughter? Can we give him time? Can we adjust his hours? So those things never happen. It's like, hey, my brother, we are paid the same. Structural stigma mainly around what the business does. For example, you know, there are people who deliberately hide your benefits. Deliberately. I don't know how the whole organization connives to say, any new employee, don't tell them that they've got these benefits. Even if they get injured or they get some psychological whatever that they can even claim. No, we just keep quiet. We hide the information until he retires. When he comes back, we never know. What if you got the condition when you're outside? Those are some of the things we do. And then the other issues are around culture, work culture. I mean, we can never overemphasize work culture, right? Under structural. Yeah, mental health stigma due to ignorance. This word has nothing to do with ignore. Guys, this is a free English lesson. Ignorance means lack of knowledge. To ignore, so yes, we may be ignorant because you ignore information when it's there. Now, most people do not know what to do. They lack knowledge. Societal norms and beliefs, what people understand about mental health, will cause stigma. Now, get drama queen. Now, drama. Workplace culture can actually lead to mental health stigma. Yeah, I want us to look at, there's something called psychological safety. Psychological safety at work doesn't mean that everybody is nice to each other all the time. It means that people feel free to brainstorm out loud, voice half-finished thoughts, openly challenge the status quo, share feedback, and work through disagreements together. So in other words, the first and most important thing we can do as a way of helping these people is to allow them to talk. And we are going to talk about how you allow people to talk. Like in this case, I don't have any form of stigma because you are all listening to me. And you have eaten. Now I can see your eyes are becoming heavier. So let's start here. There are some things that we can only come to an amicable solution because we allow people to differ. Okay, men here in this house, have you ever thought of something, a great plan, and you according to your head, that plan is the best? Again, it happens all the time. Men, especially when we want to organize things when our wives are not there. And then you try to present this well thought of plan to your wife. She looks at it once and she tells you, there's no plan. There. Oh, and then you ask, Kante, why are you saying that? Like, again, you said you are going for bride. Hey, you don't even have wood. There are no knives, but when you are going to have bride, those differences will help you to say, oh, now that we need a knife, or we can get this knife. At the end of the day, you can have your outing with the boys, but it is because someone saw something different and actually guided you through that. So let us embrace, let us actually encourage that people can have different ideas. In that way, I'm not forced to agree with the boss simply because he can decide what happens to my position. Facilitate everyone speaking up. Allow people to speak. And I always say, if you allow them to speak, then listen. Sometimes the things that we do, we tell people, speak up. They speak, let's say, about I don't have many of your names, so I'm going to just throw. Now I know Mamduli only in this audience. Let's say Tafa, because he's there. Mchizi, talk about, speak, say whatever you need to say. Mchizi says everything, he feels that he's protected. And he's talking about Molosiwa with Mamduli. Okay. So he's talking about Molosiwa ka Mamduli. Yeah? This is stuff again. Then we go there. Hey, did you know what he said? Why did you allow me to talk? If you are not willing to protect me and to make sure that I'm actually here, establish norms for how failure is handled. Not all failures failure must not be punished. Don't punish people for trying, because those that do nothing never fail, because they never had an opportunity to fail. So those that are failing are those that are trying. So the issue is, how do we guide them when they fail? It's a totally different thing when people have gone against protocol. And then create space for new ideas. Sometimes your company is stuck where it is because you are not coming up with any new ideas. Ask BlackBerry. Don't worry, it's all over the internet, so I'm not dishing out there. Then make mental health an explicit priority. Let everyone know that you care. It's not everyone must know, both in the workplace and those that are around. They would know that we care. Then pay close attention and look for patterns. I want to emphasize this. There are some people who used to be hard workers in your workplace. All of a sudden, this person is not trying to even lift a finger. People don't just change like that. Just take note of that pattern. If you notice something changing, or even the person used to knock off at 4:30, all of a sudden he knocks off at 7. But there's nothing to really explain why that person has suddenly changed. Take note of that. You may not ask them more. Make intentional effort to promote dialogue. Right? Intentional. Be intentional. When you ask someone to speak up, be ready to listen. Then celebrate people's wins. And this one, it has to be uniform. We are all in the same whatever category. I've done well, I get a car. When you have done well, we get you a case of water. Again. So let us celebrate wins equitably. Again. When people have done well, recognize. Again. That will help them to come out of that shell and to actually tell that you care. Then I want us to look at this quickly. These are stages of psychological safety that the organization goes through. So the first thing, let's say someone comes in, there is an issue of inclusion. Do I feel like I'm part of the organization? That is the very elemental one. When someone comes in, they need to know and understand that I'm part of this organization. Unfortunately, if you didn't have the right culture, the moment you are done introducing them to your beautiful workplace, others will tell them, we used to be treated like that. Wait until next week. Okay, so include everyone. And then learner safety, everyone who arrives, no matter how much they know, they are going to learn. The environment is new. I was looking at Masinkala's qualifications. So after her surname, there were names of qualifications like BBA, MBA, Stigma, what. So even with those, when she comes into the new work environment, she should be allowed to make some mistakes, especially about what the company actually does that is unique to the company. Of course, you know what accounts are, how accounts are done, but there's maybe system issues, how you deal with this system. So allow that person to learn in the environment, and they should actually appreciate that I'm learning, I'll get there. Not where when you are ready to kill all the time. Challenger safety, these are people that, let's say you have spent all your money trying to employ this person, and then they start questioning the status quo. Why are we doing things this way? Legend Z, when I live 40 years old, this little person, like even younger than your last born, comes in and then they tell you, oh, no, this one won't work. We can actually come up with an app. We can do this quickly. We can increase by our like, hey, young man, this company was built on hard work. But I'm simply saying we don't have to sweat unnecessarily. Hey, okay, so contributor safety, like people should be allowed to contribute. They should be allowed. You should encourage. I mean, one day I was looking for a wife when I was younger. And one of the things I thought of was, there are two ways. You can either marry a woman who agrees with you all the time. It's easy. When you say something, she'll agree with you. So, minus one problem. But, you can equally choose a wife who can differ with you. That will delay a lot of your decisions, but they will be calculated. So which one will you choose? And then one of the days, I get that other one who agrees with you, ask, should we paint this house black or gray? Like, I need your opinion. And then you start calling, hey, Bana, Bana, because that is where it comes from. Bana, she's Bana. That's my wife has a mobile. However, I tell you, one. Let's start with this. Okay, we are done. Hey, I got it. Yeah. Okay. Free. The reason why I'm saying free things first and last is, in most cases, when we think about these things, I know at a strategic level, we always think, okay, guys, so what is the budget? What is our financial plan for this year? Can we include that? You know, when you are with the big boys, yeah, those who, nowadays there are no checks. I nearly say those who sign checks. The first thing, protect the victim. If someone is stigmatized, protect. And you can do this in many ways. You remember what I said about speaking up. As the leader, speak up. When you notice it, speak. 2, policy. Let your policy clearly state that you care about mental health and what you intend to do. It's a pity that only 40% of those who have got mental health strategies actually implement them. And those that are successful come from businesses where the managers, the top managers, actually care about mental health. So you'd notice that it's not necessarily about the strategy, but top management. So in other words, if your strategy is failing, look up. I know some of you are looking at yourselves because there is no up beyond you. Yeah, some of us, there are multiple levels above us, so we can easily look like, hey, we just achieve him that. All right. Encourage social activities outside work. Guys, this issue, don't mix business with pleasure, what. If you think your time is from 7:30 to 4:30, wait until your employee comes drunk, and he drank at 5 a.m. Then you'll notice, so these things can interact. So encourage them to have some life. 5 aside, encourage them to go for their wives' birthdays, children's birthdays, know when prize giving is. If time allows, allow them to attend those. Encourage people to have those social activities. Because remember what I said about psychosocial, 66%. That on its own creates a safety netting in case anything terrible happens at home, at work. That person will have someone to support them. And you don't have to pay anything. Nothing, zero. You don't need a budget. You don't need to consult with Masinga. Encourage functional friendships, even at work. There are some people that are quite close and they help each other work better. For example, when I was in DRM, there used to be this friend of mine, when we were on call, because you'd come to work and then you continue on call the next day. What we'd do is we'd break each other at lunch. Let's say if he's on call, I would work until 7 p.m. so that he only comes to work at 7. It is just what we agreed to as a friendship. It worked for both of us. I'm simply saying, such friendships where we don't delay each other and you see that these friendships work, encourage them. Don't destroy those. Maintain confidentiality. Learn to, I nearly used a very strong word, learn to keep quiet. Who said shut up? Hey, so maintain confidentiality, learn to keep quiet. When someone has shared something with you, remember that is privileged information. That is why ha ke kwala sick leave ha ke re o lola makhwekhwene tsa tseno ha pata tiro ha ke rialo ke bua la re ha tso wena kwa no tla ngwa ntlo gore a ke ba balase a keng, but it's none of my business. So learn to maintain confidentiality, educate your staff. Educate your staff. Let your staff know. And both executive and the low ranking staff, both of them should know what stigma is, because the gossipies, they run across. Kana gossipies is a calling. It's not even something you go to school for. People who just, like even right now, we have started gossiping. Then the other thing is effective recruitment process. Stop hiring people the way you hire your nannies and your helpers. Where you look for someone who wears a skirt and say, can you ship? Yeah, come. We are employing you today. That's not how you should employ. When you sit down to recruit, either it's the person at the front desk, take your time. Know their interests, know everything. By the time you say, this is the person we want, it's a person that you want. Because this is the person that if one day he crumbles under the pressure of life, you can support them. It's like, and I would like to use marriage over and over again. You know, when your wife said yes, I'll use wife because I'm the one talking. When your wife said yes, you never questioned the yes. But after you get married and she says no to something, you should equally respect that no again. So when you have employed someone and you respect their work ethic and everything, when they are not well and they cannot perform as well, then you should be in a position to support them, because you know their capabilities, you have measured what they can do. It's just that they are having a minor glitch, you are trying to support them. Have functional social welfare department. Your social welfare department is where someone has got this portfolio and then they are given. By the way, most of the things that we spend money on, where we go out team building, by the way, those things don't work much. Because I will know, hey, Satan, it's a general more. No, like that's literally what people say. We don't know why these things are there. There is nothing wrong with going for those, but trust me, they are not much in terms of value for money. Because I do that once a year or twice. You want to tell me to replace the 365 days? So, profitability is directly proportional to mental health. That's the first thing I want to say. The last thing, so mental health defines more than 66% of health. Mental health is complex and often stigmatized. And I want to add with this word, work culture driven by willing management is the greatest predictor of success of mental health policy. Thank you very much. Before the change. Should I run away? Yeah. Okay.
Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Dokotela. Dr. Molosiwa. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Yeah, that was a beautiful presentation. We are honored, sir. And I believe from now on, yes, whether you are an employer here or you're an employee, treat your employees well. Check a mental stability. Are they fine? Like he mentioned, check the work practice. What is going on? Yeah, just to ask, are you fine? Are you good? You know, just one or two words conversation, it wouldn't hurt. Yeah? Your employees yes, all right. So thank you so much, Dr. Molosiwa. I believe even Stigma, we have learned a lot about all of that. and we have learned the customer is not always right. I get it. Yeah, with that scenario that he mentioned about the young kid, it was so it's like from now on, just diagnose conclude the conclusions. Where is Alright, thank you so much, Dr. Molosiwa. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Yes. Alright. So at this point in time, let me give you the platform to ask any questions. If you have any question or comments to Mr. Dr. Molosiwa, please do that by raising your hand. There will be a roving mic. You'll be given the mic so that you'll be audible enough for a doctor. Okay, we have a hand here. That one is not. It's not in the move. It's not on the move.
Thank you. Dr. Molosiwa, good low where I take you. Anyway, I think thank you for that presentation. I think you noticed I was getting in and out of your presentation. And I think my question was around digital health. We are exposed to a lot more frequently, which also spikes anxiety and emergencies. So I think maybe for those present and businesses present, how can you include that digital wellness, breaks and all those things into the normal day? Because I think they serve as a distraction and we live in a digital era. But I do have to go body shaming, all those other things. So how can we create safe spaces, even in our workplaces, from a digital perspective? Thank you.
Save more questions so that
Thank you very much. Morning, and thank you, Doctor, afternoon actually, for your presentation. Some of us are triggered by what you were saying because it's the truth, what happens to us in our workplaces. And I'd just like to say, maybe it would be important to actually have more sessions like this so people are actually aware that it is normal to actually be made to feel a certain way at work. So mine is just an appreciation. Thank you very much. And I've been to Mpumelelo.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've been to Mpumelelo once in my lifetime. Upon my return, I lost my job.
That's bad. That's super bad.
Yeah, and my question to you, but thanks for that presentation, Doctor. And my question is, it's like when we look into the generation, I have interest in a business that employs about 34 people. It's a butchery, two branches in Kabul, Block 6 and Station. And the guy who takes care of everyday business operations, also a partner, thinks that perhaps the Gen Zs are way too fragile to handle their work pressures. Because, when you talk about an issue, I know we talked about this about what you said, these guys are too quick to diagnose depression. Even when someone is just bored, they think they're depressed. And then he said, look at me. I was depressed and I only realized that I was depressed after I recovered. But these guys, all of a sudden, you didn't have a good meal, we are depressed, our mental health is compromised, and that ultimately affects production and performance of the business. But now is how then do we deal with different age groups, and perhaps will it be safe to say, because Asima 2000, 90, or similar 95, yes, of course, for my 2000, are they too fragile to actually handle the work pressures? Or maybe we are just being not so keen on having a structure that will actually take care of their mental health.
Maybe the last one. And then another question. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, hello. Madam Betso. Dr. Naledi Mukhokelwa. I was just telling a friend as we were working in that I resigned yesterday. And then she was asking me, how do you feel? I said,
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that I did for myself. And so I really believe like in everything that he was presenting here. And mental health is the key to productivity in the workplace. And when you are smart and you are employed because you are smart, intelligent, and you are this productive person who brings results, it means that you are also going to question certain things and to propose certain things that they can bring a positive change in the workplace. But when you are perpetually being made to think that what you are bringing is not it, is not right, and then later what you are proposing is being implemented and it seems to be coming from somewhere, then these are the things that break people in the workplace. Yeah, so your mental health comes first because you are there, you came there and you are selected from the rest because you are outstanding from the rest, and it was because of your mental health. I always say that people buy you before they can buy what you do. And you are that mentally health person that works into that organization. Thank you.
In the absence of any questions,
Maybe the So like we're in a workplace where the leadership finds joy in victimizing the employees. Or in that case, or like is it possible for that leader, for that employer to change the mindset? Or is it possible to say no, victimization is not a good thing? They can treat my employees in a better way. What is possible? Even the employees, or what can be done to my employee, because victimization is stress.
Let me try to attempt some of the questions they were posed. The first one was on digital health and essentially how much it affects productivity. And unfortunately, these devices have actually expanded the world that we're exposed to. You'll be shocked that there are even someone who will tell you news that is you just run for 10 seconds and then the guy says, we know you've been trying to work for all these years and you're still struggling, you're all complaining, I can't trust that. So the first thing is for us to appreciate that tech addiction, which is a totally huge topic that we are currently discussing, is more complex than even cocaine, or very few of us use. But phones, all of us use. Someone is always pressing something. So the issue is, that one is highly what an individual can do for themselves. Otherwise, at the workplace, the only thing we can use to legislate, which is going to make things a bit more complicated. But the issue is to always emphasize, guys, let's do work. And then we set objectives. That's one thing that I've noticed too. You set objectives that must be completed. If someone knows that this thing has to be completed, they will less likely have appetite to spend most of the time on the gadget because time is of essence. So that one, depending on which industry you're in, you can decide which method you work. Are you going to pay them based on objectives met, or are you going to stick with time? And then with time, challenges will come with our own overtime. Someone will spend the whole day doing nothing, and then we want to spend extra hours. So those are some of the things that we can consider. That one is highly something that must be taught. Even the dangers of what comes with that. We're actually becoming dumb because of the phones. Before we get to things such as bullying. And then people should also do gadget hygiene. Know what to share and what not to share. Don't just share everything. For example, for me, the easiest thing I've done for myself, I'm not active in most of these things. Not because I'm actually interested, but I just find it easier for me to stay out. It's not like I'm scared that the gender is sharing information like that. Don't share everything. Share what you feel is necessary. And you wouldn't have a problem with someone questioning about what you share. And then, in terms of ability to handle work pressures, remember, as an employer, you have got an unprecedented, but then you have got an opportunity to employ people that you do want. So emergency are yes, but look for emergency that you know, this one is to put in the work. Because I think if we take our own fathers, they will not be able to be as agile as. So, like I said, let's take recruitment seriously. Even if that person is paid the minimum wage, make sure that take time when you recruit. I don't necessarily think that all the Gen Zs are lazy. I'm not a Gen Z myself, but I work, I put in the work, and then that's one thing I'm proud of, and I do it well. So it's something that I would like to say just on that. And sometimes our preconceived ideas and our experiences can make it difficult for others to express themselves. That's one point I also wanted to know. For example, growing up, my life wasn't as easy as my son's life. When I was doing standard 1, I would cross over 5 kilometers to school, come back, eat, go back to school, then come back, right? I shouldn't then say, now my son should travel 5 kilometers. But one or two things he used to learn that are different. And later on, we should also look for new technologies that can make work easy. Or let's not straight unnecessary. And then in terms of, can a leopard change the sport, which was your question. Can we make a manager who doesn't care about people to care about people? In terms of personality, that is quite difficult.
Yeah.
But especially when they're at the very, very, very top. So now this goes back to what Masinka was saying, something that I touched on. When it comes to someone changing, especially when they've perfected the skill, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So, but it is not impossible. So what can happen is there are a lot of things that can be done. If there is someone above them and the organization is fair, then disciplinary hearings can be done. When other things have been tried, like psychological training, how to deal with others and how to handle them. If all those things, then ultimately disciplinary hearings can be done. Other things could be reducing contact of that person. If it's possible, if you can shift, especially if it's a single person that is being stigmatized on, you can either shift that person or the one who is being victimized. The other thing that I also wanted to mention is our ability to adapt. By the way, guys, all types of work is stressful. Whether one in or like myself, it goes physically and psychologically strenuous. I always say medicine is light blue collar job because we are doing both white collar and blue collar job. So all jobs are stressful, but the greatest gift we can give to one another really is making sure that we raise kids that are strong. Don't give your children everything. Sometimes you just need to say no, not because you are broke, but for the sake of it, so that they know that the world is not going to give you everything. That resilience should be built as they grow up. Because, trust me, You should see accountants around April when big books are closed. That's the busiest time. It's stressful. We can't say no, don't do anything at that time. But we need to learn to adapt and to adjust. This schedule is on. Let us make sure that we share our guys during this period. We are busy. Be ready. If you get your leaves, get your leave because we are coming back from that. So let us build from the bottom up. Let us do that so that they are more resilient. They won't cry about everything. But in case they cry, they should know that there's a shoulder to lean on.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Molosiwa. We are all satisfied. Yes. Yeah. It's very critical because somebody can be shifted maybe. Hey. After 50 years. Could be there? Now, Lala, Okudimo, Umulala Semorarnia, Okasia. Okasiama. Utumulala Semukis, and how to check a Komarakota or Okudimulua, Nara, Chorani, Piwari, Black May, how can San or Kurami more organization who are toxic in here. Gen Z are toxic so in our government offices, in our private and forest sector offices, let us really work on that. Our employers, employees, like now let's go we can to hire every day. I tell every day. I'm going to depressed. Hey, you will get around to you do see where you're suppressed. Now, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Dr. Molosiwa. If you still have any question, please jot it down. And yes, at this beautiful point in time, I will kindly allow Mr. Mpumelelo Tembe he's an international speaker, yes, from South Africa. He's from Peckley, yes, Peckley, CEO from Peckley, to come and give us a beautiful presentation on reducing church and leverage, church. Yeah, reducing child and elevating experience with CX technologies.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please, let's give a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today speaking at the Customer Service Week. My name is Mpumelelo Tembe, and I'm a co-founder and leader of an AI health tech company. I might be continuing from your speech. So prior to the startup, which has been operating for a year, I've led customer success teams throughout my career, pretty much responsible for building customer onboarding programs, products adoption strategies, managing churn, and yeah, pretty much proactive account management. So as we gather to celebrate what we consider standards of service, I want us to reflect on the truth that resonates across every industry, which is customer experience. That customer experience is paramount. So in this world that we're living in, where we driven by choice and expectations, the quality of the service, the quality of the service makes a difference between the interaction and lifelong relationships. Today, I'm going to get into the topic of critical sustainability and success in service-oriented sector, which is reducing churn and leveraging customer experience technologies. For the purpose of this speech, I'm going to focus a lot more on healthcare due to Berkeley being focused in healthcare. Okay, and then I will be sharing some case studies as well, which basically prove how customer experience tools can basically assist. Okay, so maybe let's start with understanding what is churn. Okay, so churn measures the percentage of customers leave your product or service. Okay, so pretty much it's the opposite of customer retention. When we hear the term churn, we think often of cancelled subscriptions, lost MRR, which is monthly recurring revenue. But when it comes to healthcare, it's actually vital because it impacts humans. So yeah, in healthcare, churn takes on a far more profound meaning. It basically, churn basically goes beyond subscription when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to patients. So in healthcare, it refers to patients discontinuing treatments, switching healthcare providers, disengaging from wellness programs, and probably not even renewing their medical aid. So the implications of this are far-reaching and deeply impactful. For businesses, the impacts are quite obvious, which is just revenue loss for hospitals and clinics. But when it comes to humans or comes to patients, it affects obviously health. Okay. Okay, so I have touched into the financial impacts for businesses, and then operationally it creates inefficiencies as resources are spent on acquiring new patients, and then basically for patient outcomes, as I've already listed, what are the patient outcomes when they basically have to leave a healthcare provider. So imagine this, a patient discontinuing the chronic medication due to poor administrative experience or poor service that they received from you as a medical practitioner, or a family switching clinics because they feel unheard, undervalued, and potentially delaying critical diagnoses and treatments. So these are not just business losses, but they are human losses as well. Where access to quality healthcare is a national priority, reducing patient churn is even more vital. It means that every citizen who enters the healthcare system remains engaged, adhere to treatment plans, and can trust their providers. Okay. The continuity of care is essential for managing prevalent health conditions such as HIV and AIDS, diabetes, hypertension, and basically for improving public health in general. Okay, so when patients feel neglected or find the healthcare system difficult to navigate, they are discouraged to basically take care of their health. All right, so I'm now going to get into the technologies that can help with this, basically leveraging custom experience tools. So this is how we combat this, right? What exactly are CX tools? So these tools are basically technologies that are designed to help with every touch points of a customer, right? So in our case, a patient's, it would be touch points that are used by a service provider. So in healthcare, this can be something as simple as patient portals, which are easy to navigate, where patients can basically log in and receive some health information. It could be telemedicine platforms, and it could be AI-powered chatbots, which basically provide instant supports to patients, and it could be personalized communication. So CX technologies reduce churn through several key mechanisms. Okay, so CX tools reduce churn through several key mechanisms, each playing a crucial role in enhancing the patient journey, right? So the first is personalization, where tailoring healthcare experience to each individual basically makes the patients feel, feel valued and feel basically important, right? So it's customizing like the treatment plans, communication methods that suits the patients, making them feel seen, understood, through personalization and customization. Second would be accessibility. So making it easier for patients to book appointments, access to their medical records, receiving timely reminders about their next appointments, their next checkups, and also giving easy access to consult with a medical professional. The third one would be engagements, right? So these are technologies that help drive proactive engagements, keeping patients informed, actively involved in their health journey through educational resources, wellness tips, and interactive platforms. And then the last would be efficiency. So these tools actually help streamline efficiency by directly translating to a more positive, less frustrating, and more human-centered patient experience. When patients experience efficiency and ease, their satisfaction increases and the likelihood of remaining with the provider or adhering to a treatment plan dramatically improves. Okay, so I'm just gonna touch into our approach at Perkele when it comes to these tools, whereby we built at least 3 sets of products which were meant to combat, which was meant to combat churn, right? So basically at Perkele, we not just observers of this transformation, right? We act as participants passionate in harnessing the power of CX tools within the healthcare industry. For instance, maybe speaking about the first app, which is, okay, before I get into that. So pretty much we built an ecosystem where medical providers can engage directly with patients, where patients can use a platform where they can get easy access into the medical records, also easy access to engaging with the doctor. And then we've actually tried to make it as engaging as possible, where we've utilized even gamification just to basically encourage the patients. I'll speak for myself, like my attention span is quite low, but when it comes to visualization, having to watch like animation or playing games, this is how you learn better. So we basically created these leaderboards for patients, so they can just basically be encouraged to take care of their health. And we've got quite a bit on our on our roadmap as well, like integrating to the smartwatch where it gives you reminders on, taking care of your steps and whatsoever. So this is basically the first part of it. Second part is for medical practitioners. So same companies that are in our space, it's always been more about the healthcare provider, like a simple, what we call it, patient management system. But what we did is we wanted to build an entire ecosystem which doesn't, technology that's not only for the doctor, but also for the patients as well to engage. So complementing this is Perkily Pro, which is our robust platform specifically tailored to healthcare providers. So it equips clinics, medical practices, and so on, and spas, wellness brands with powerful tools to streamline patient management, enhancing communication capabilities, and basically getting rid of any administrative efficiency. So by simplifying complex tasks for healthcare providers, such as appointment scheduling, clinical notes, record keeping, we basically allow them to focus more on the patients while basically taking care of the day-to-day operations. Earlier on, I spoke about chatbots as well, being a tool, a CX tool. So we've recently introduced one about 2 months ago, a chatbot called Fleming AI. So this is pretty much a medical intelligence assistant trained in over 1,000 medical cases. So it serves general users by answering health questions. I also use it as well when I've got like a hangover that's going way too much. So it basically does give you like some pretty good responses, preventative care. Literally, if you wanna, it's basically substituting Google, right? So if you wanna basically give, even if there's some medication that you are not sure about, it will tell you what the what's this word I'm looking for? Not the diagnosis, like the mission. Okay, but basically like the medication, if what side effects, that's the one that I was looking. Thanks. So that is basically that. Again, all in all here, the whole idea is to take a patient-centric design where we really care about the service, really care about enhancing the experience of the patients. So like I said, I've been in a customer success background prior to my career for like 8 years, and I've always been like customer facing and customer centric. So it just took me finding a geek who can basically develop technology. And I then basically translated all this, the concept, the ideas, into how we can actually use it as, how we can use technology tools in enhancing service. Okay, I've already spoken into this. Maybe just one more thing to add is that with the AI, Fleming AI, we've developed it with 3 modes. So the first is for general users, someone like myself. The second one is for healthcare professionals. So it helps them supports them with clinical decision making, with rapid access to insights, research, and diagnostic assistance. So even the responses that it gives for healthcare professionals, it uses even, I'd say, more technical words or more language that pretty much they would understand. And then as of recent, which was quite an interesting one, is students in KZN, UKZN, pretty healthcare medical students are using it to prepare for their exams and basically the tests and so on. So once we started seeing that we were getting a lot of users who were students, then we actually fully developed the student mode, which can also help them like sort of analyze their textbooks and get information faster. Okay, so as we look into the future, the strategic integration of CX technologies is not merely an option. It's not an option, but an undeniable necessity for any health, not even just healthcare, but any business in general, right? So I would basically urge all of you in your respective roles to start considering using technology, whether you're a frontline customer service professional, healthcare administrator, or policymaker, to champion the adoption of these forward-thinking strategies, right? We need to start looking at technology as a tool that basically helps us, get to our clients faster, be able to assist them faster, and just basically making it easy for them to engage with your business. Right. Thank you.